Budget discussions don't formally get underway until October. Even that is early compared to past practice. But one city councillor got the ball rolling yesterday with a motion aimed to cap the property taxes. It was ultimately rejected, but not entirely.
Last year, property owners paid out a 2.5% tax increase, one of the lowest increases in more than a decade. But Councillor Albert Kohler wanted more. He put forward a motion to cap the increase at 1.5%.
It was, in my opinion, a fair approach because we have increased quite a bit of user fees this year, and the taxpayer has to pay all of this the coming year. And if we now would come up with a high tax increase, a reasonably high tax increase, it would be a double whammy for a taxpayer, and it would just not be fair.
But there were concerns capping the tax increase would hamstring council during the budget process.
Rather than going into the budget process knowing that we're at a 1.5% tax levy, I wanted to see us have an opportunity to look at a 1.5% scenario as well as other scenarios so that it would give council an opportunity to debate that.
Many traditional deficit budget issues, such as roads and snow removal, have become self-sustaining and would only need to be subject to inflationary increases. But that's not the end of the issues to deal with in the coming budget.
We still have an infrastructure issue. Even though we've done some very good work in making sure that many of our infrastructure pieces pay for themselves, we still have infrastructure assets that are going to need to be looked at through the budget process.
Lynn Hall suggested a more open-ended option, a series of different scenarios, including 1.5%. In the end, Kohler voted in favour of the amendment out of necessity.
After a lot of discussions back and forth and amendments and attempted amendments, whether I would get half a cake, so to speak, or nothing. And I had to decide in a split second if I wanted to have this 1.5% motion discussed and on the table, I had to vote against that motion.
The Fraser Institute recently released a report which found Canadians spend more on taxes than food, shelter and clothing combined. Not surprising to Kohler.
We have to have a mindset saying, what do we do? How do we then spend taxes, getting into the box being the City Hall, and what comes out of it, and not waste anything in between.
The individual scenarios will be presented to the Finance and Audit Committee next week, with budget talks set to get underway in October. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.